Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Today I want to share with you guys my casting Reflux Sorc build guide, as a lot of you guys are actually interested in it and I think it's really good build and it just needs to get out there and more people need to start playing casting Reflux. It's really fun. But before we get into that, if you guys would go ahead and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out so much and it keeps you guys up to date on everything Lost Ark. And while you're at it, go ahead and join the Discord community as well. I will have the link down below in the description for you guys. Join on up there. We have over 150 members now, growing every day. It's really cool to see you guys all chatting there about games, asking questions about Lost Ark, and just everything gaming in general. If you guys are looking for a place to hang out, we'd love to have you. So with that out the way, let's hop straight into the build guide. I do have a written version for you guys that you can see on screen right now. I will have the link down below in the description for you guys. You can go through it and check it out at your own time. But let's just go through it from the top. So why do I like to play, and speaking about the build variants and playstyle, I like to play it because it's a lot more damage is consistent and you get to cast Doomsday a lot. Doomsday is my most favorite skill in the whole game, so if you can cast more Doomsdays, they all do tons of damage and 99% of the time they crit. That is why I like to play the casting version over the Reflux instant version, where you've got to be at melee range as well. I feel like the casting version of Reflux is like the only real long range build in the game, because you can really be far away and you can just throw stuff out all the time to stay safe, and that's why I like to play it. And then number two, we're going to go over the gear sets and stats. I've tested many different things over here with this. I've got all the numbers down here. We'll get down to that later on. But right for now, we will be using 4-piece Nightmare and 2-piece Dominion. The reason being is because the Dominion gives us the cooldown, and then the Nightmare obviously gives us the buff as well. So that's why you want to use the Meteor Awakening, the Apocalypse Call, because it's really quick and then it activates your awakening stuff right away. It gives you the buff of both sets. I have tested 6-piece Nightmare as well, and I do have a really high quality weapon. I thought it might be better because Nightmare scales better with the weapon quality. So as you can see, I have a 99 weapon quality, and I tried out 6-piece Nightmare and I still got more DPS using 2-piece Dominion and 4-piece Nightmare over using 6-piece Nightmare. So that is what I like to use. And then stats, we go crit main stat, as crit is very important for us. And then swiftness as our off stat. Obviously as high quality as you can on your accessories to get as much as you can on your crit. And then your swiftness you get on the neck piece with the crit swift, with everything else being crit. So that is the gear sets and the stats. And then now we'll talk about the skills and the tripods. I have them all written up there for you guys there. But let me just show you in game. So we come over here to skills, sort by the top. So let's start with Blaze. We use Blaze at level 7 so we can get damage, amp, and flame expansion. And then I actually put a bleed rune on there. I don't have a higher bleed rune, but put the highest bleed rune you can get. Put it on your on your Blaze. And then Augiesaint touch. This one over here is really the open spot where you should have your counter. If you do need a counter for a boss fight or something, Squall is really good. And the Ice Shower is a little bit slow, but they're pretty much really close to each other in like how fast you get them. But I like to use Squall with Agile Cast, and that you can use as your counter, or you could just use Augiesaint touch if you don't need a counter or if you believe in your party. So that's completely up to your party. And if you're doing pugs, you should probably use the Squall just so that you can make sure to counter. If there's no counter, use Augiesaint touch with quick prep, and you want to use rage on both of these as well. You will see in the opener later on I explain why, because you can use that to just get a quick little proc of rage. Or you could even put the cooldown one. What's it called? Quick prep or something like that. Quick recharge. That's another one you could use. Like rage or quick recharge. There's really no wrong answer there. And then moving on to Frost Call. We use Frost Call with, let's go back to the skill tree over there. We use Enlightenment because there's nothing better. Unstable Rule and Final Strike. And then Final Strike is obviously a lot of your damage, crit damage. It's not one of your most important tripods, but it doesn't hurt to have this one leveled up. And then moving on, so you also use a Wealth Rune there because there's nothing really else you can use there. You could put a Gale Rune if you wanted, but the Wealth Rune, since this just does generate a lot of gauge and helps you with teleporting and also animation cancelling, which we'll get into later. And then we do have Rhyme Arrow as well with Quick Prep, Piercing Strike, and Ice Pick. None of your really super important tripods, but they are good to have them at a high level. With Wealth Rune again, because it does generate a lot of gauge. And then Explosion, this is one of your main skills. You want to have Ignite, Weak Point Detection, and Final Strike. These two over here are two of your most important tripods. You want to have Weak Point Detection maxed out, as well as Final Strike. And Ignite is just to add a little bonus. That just got lucky with it. And you want to have an Epic Gale Wind on that one. And then Punishing Strike, another one of your top 3. Wide Angle Attack. Electric Discharge, and Final Strike. Both of these again are two of your most important tripods. You want to have them maxed out, and you want to do this all before the update next week. We'll have a video coming pretty soon for you guys on that. And then as well, put in the Galewind rune. And then moving on to Doomsday, get Ignite, Asteroid, and Final Strike. And these two over here are the last two out of your 6 most important ones, Asteroid and Final Strike, for your most important tripods, along with a Galewind Legendary Rune on your Doomsday. And then we run Esoteric Reaction with Quick Prep, Final Strike, and Stabilize Crystal, because it just gives a little bit faster explosion time and smaller with more damage increase as well. You could also go Shockwave. I need to do some more testing on this, but I believe these two are pretty close. Some people tend to use Shockwave, but I use Stabilized Crystal in mine. And again, with a Galewind rune over there, you could swap that to the Frost Core, but this one doesn't really build much gauge. That's why you want to get more gauge and obviously enhance the gauge on that. So that is all the skills and tripods. Let's go back to this over here. I do have them all written down with the runes as well, so you guys can go through it. And as you can see, these ones with the little stars on them, those are the 6 most important ones that you want to get with the trick to get your maxed out tripods. You can get 6 of them for free pretty much. And that is how you want to get those all over there. And your awakening, I did write down here, you use the Meteor's Awakening because the animation is so much faster than actually using the might. You see there, 1, 2, 3 seconds and I can move again. But the other one, you've got to stand in place while the big AoE ball goes off, and you just lose a lot of time and uptime with it as well. And it puts you in bad situations sometimes. But yeah, that is just a quick little note there. Use the Meteor's Awakening. If you're playing Ignite or something else, obviously you want to use the other one because it does give you gauge. But that is not for this video. And now let's speak about Engravings. For an early 4x3, I would go with All Out Attack, Precise Dagger, and then Hitmaster or Grudge. Like those two, whichever one you get. I was running Hitmaster. This was my 4x3 for the longest time. Was All Out, Precise, Hitmaster, and Reflux. Until I actually got my 5x3. And then the best 5x3 for consistency, and this is what I actually use on mine, is All Out Attack, Grudge, Precise Dagger, Hitmaster, and Reflux. Precise Dagger is very valuable for us. I have tested down below. I'll show you guys all the numbers. I've tested many different 5x3 setups. And Precise Dagger pretty much outperforms all of them in consistency, especially if you don't have any crit synergy in your party. Whereas if you do have a crit synergy in your party, you could possibly change this up. For what I want to talk about now is the highest ceiling DPS 5x3, which would be All Out Attack, Grudge. And then this Mass Increase or Cursed Doll. I tried Keen Blunt. Keen Blunt is also a possible contender, but I would say Mass Increase has the highest ceiling over there with Hitmaster and Reflux, because Mass Increase is 18% attack power. It's a lot of attack power. You do lose the crit, but this is totally if you have a crit synergy. If you're going for the highest DPS possible, obviously you will be getting crit synergy in your party because you'll be like building up a synergy party around you, and that is what you need there. So for consistency, what I use for myself, and I MVP on above many people that are much higher than me. I MVP all the time with this build over there. All Out, Grudge, Precise Dagger, Hitmaster, and Reflux. Precise Dagger, very underrated. Mainly only for this build though, because crit is valued so high for us. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, Precise Dagger I wouldn't say is really good for anything else, except for us, we use it in our build. And then for our gems, we have attack gems. We got Doomsday, Explosion, Punishing Strike, and Rhyme Arrow. These are your 4 main abilities. Obviously, these 3 are like your main top 3, and then Rhyme Arrow is a close contender for them. They all get attack gems. Esoteric Reaction and Frost Core get attack gem as well. And then your cooldown on your main 4 at the top. And then whichever one of these 2 you get to roll ESO Reaction or Frost Call. I believe I got one on ESO Reaction, but if you roll Frost Call as well, or if you upgrade it and you roll it yourself, whichever one of these 2 comes first, the damage is very close to them. So don't fret if you don't get the right one. It's either or for the last cooldown gem. And then for card sets, we want to use the 12-piece Lost Wind Cliff set. It's still stronger than the 18-piece Light of Salvation for our build. I have tested this before. I have other videos on my channel where I've tested it as well. Go watch them. And 12-piece Lost Wind Cliff, just because crit is valued so high on this build, it is actually stronger than 18-piece Light of Salvation. And then if you get, obviously if you get 30-piece Light of Salvation, that will still be your base in slot, because that's like what, 15% extra damage, 15% extra damage, a lot of extra damage. And that's just flat damage. You will lose 7% crit, but the damage you gain there will actually be worth it. Just 18 piece is not worth it. And now moving on to rotation and DPS priority. So you always want to start with your awakening to get the buff, and then you want to get your main DPS skills out as soon as possible, starting with Doomsday, Explosion, Punishing Strike, and then Rhyme Arrow. in that priority. And the reason you want to always use those together is because they can all animation cancel into each other. As you can see, they're always trying to animation cancel all 4 of the main DPS skills. So they can all cancel into and out of each other as well with the use of blink and spacebar. And animation canceling, a good way to actually practice this is just come to the Trixion over here, and then we can set over here to no cooldowns. And as you see now, I could just throw this out and there's no cooldown. So animation cancel, right? Just cast this. You see, there's like a little lock before I can start moving. And if we actually do it correctly, we can spacebar and then cancel that straight away. And a good example would be on explosion, is you see the knockback on explosion actually pushes you back. But if you animation cancel right at the end, it doesn't push you back. It stays in place, and you can just cast more skills at the same time. That's why I always try and use animation cancelling. And this is how you want to learn. Just come to Trixion, set no cooldowns, and you just need to learn the timing. Pretty much as you hear the sound go off, you hit the next button. Same with Doomsday. As the cast finished, oh, see, I messed it up. Actually, no, I didn't mess it up because it went through. It's just there's no cooldown because of the Trixion. So come to Trixion, try it out. You must learn to animation cancel. It's a huge DPS gain, and it's a lot safer once you get in there too. And you can also use your spacebar, so your blink. And then you can also use the actual blink, which is the reflux teleport. So you can use both of those, is why you want to try and build up gauge when you can. Just makes you very mobile and it helps with your animation cancelling. So that's an easy way to come and learn there. As you can see, they will go through that. And then always maintain your synergy with Blaze. You should have 100% uptime with Blaze all the time. As you can see when we put Blaze over there, just go back to apply actual cooldowns and stuff. We don't want to leave, we just want to apply cooldowns. So let's see. 8 seconds, and you can see there it's always being refreshed. And see how long it lasts, and look, that's already come off cooldown again. It's back and there's still 4 seconds left. So that should be really easy to maintain that, because by the time it comes back up, like the buff is still ticking. We'll go down there 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and it's back. 4 seconds left on the clock. So you got a lot of wiggle room with your Blaze to always have uptime on that. And that's the reason why I use the flame expansion. So if the boss moves like right up there somewhere, you can actually get another tick on it. Because whenever it ticks, it reapplies the damage buff. And that's how you keep 100% uptime of your synergy. It's just always throw Blaze out whenever you can. And then the rest of your skills are really just fillers. But if played correctly, you should be casting something almost always. So 95% of the time, maybe 90 to 95% of the time, you should be casting something all the time. And for opening, rotation. We'll go pre-pull starting in the area swap. So where you get to change accessories and when you get to fill up your potions and stuff. Pretty much where you can swap accessories. You want to swap accessories to obtain Awakening +2. So what I mean by this is in your inventory, if you have 2 pieces of accessories like I do over here, these both have Awakening +5. So I chuck those on really quick. And then if we go look at my engravings, we'll see, well actually now it doesn't change because we're in the Trixion training grounds. But this will give me Awakening level 2, and that will just give you another charge of your Awakening for the Dominion buff and make the cooldown a little bit shorter. So you hit both of them on, you hit your ultimate like that, and you put your other 2 pieces back on, and you go into the fight. Just make sure that you have them saved and locked somewhere so you know where they are, and just make sure double check your engravings just before you get in, so you don't actually have the wrong stuff on and you go into the fight with like Awakening and your other engravings not maxed out. So that is a nice little trick. You don't have to do this, but you won't have 100% uptime on the Dominion buff if you don't. It'll be very close though. I think it's like 15 to 20 seconds or so without it. But if you do it, then obviously you get that extra use and it's just a lot easier to maintain it. And if you can do it, why not? Just get 2 relic pieces. I just found these. Whatever you get, this has to be Awakening +5 on both pieces. It doesn't matter what else it is. You just put them on, use that buff, put them off, and then you go into the fight. And that's what I mean by that. So this is what you would do pre-pull. And you swap back, and then you want to start with a Blaze into your shield. So your shield or your counter, whatever you've got over there as your shield or your counter, but pretty much whatever skill you have with rage on it. So you want to hit that and then get the chance to get a rage. Obviously we didn't get it over there. Reset it again. Didn't get it again. Reset. There we go. We got rage. So sometimes you could get rage in the opener. It's useful. It's not the end of the world if you don't. It's very situational. And also if you pop your shield while you're in the fight or something. Obviously if you do need to save your counter for something, you don't want to do that. But in the opener, there shouldn't really be something you need to counter opener. Sometimes. It really depends on the fight. But that's just a quick little way to get it. Or you could just go Blaze into Frost Call. Because as you see, they combo really nice together. the blaze comes, and then frost core, and you go straight into casting your rotation. So in the opener, free pull, and then you want to start with blaze into the shield or frost call or something like that, and then apply your synergy as well. And then you want to start casting Doomsday into Rhyme Arrow so you can use the animation cancel, and then explosion into Punishing Strike, or other way around. But I like to do explosion first and then Punishing Strike just to cancel the knockback from explosion. And then you want to finish off with ESA Reaction and Frost Core. Whichever of them are still up, just throw them out and then revert back to your priority over there. You want to get your Doomsday's Explosion, Punishing Strike, Rhyme Arrows out. Use them to animation cancel each other. Keep your Blaze up for the 100% uptime. And then that's all you've really got to do. Just go back and forth like that with your priorities of your skills. So that's pretty much the long and the short about playing Reflux Sorc. I know this video is getting pretty long. It's probably like 15 minutes or so by now. I will have timestamps down below so you guys can check out everything as you need. But let's just go over the last thing I have is some testing for you guys. I ran some DPS tests with casting Reflux, and all testing was done with +2 Spirit Absorb. So if you go into Trixion, and where is it? Character settings over there. We go to Engravings and you go to Spirit Absorb. If you put this to level 2, it pretty much simulates what you would be getting from supports. You won't be getting their damage buff, but you will be getting the move speed and attack speed. So animations are a little bit faster and you move a little bit faster as well. So that does help out, and you should always apply that when you are trying stuff in Trixion, just to compensate for getting the yearning buff from your supports, which you should be having in raids most of the time anyway. So my build with the shield, you can swap to the counter if needed, but this is my build. This is where I was testing the 4-piece Nightmare and the 2-piece Dominion. That is what I got after a couple of tests. I divided them, and then this was the average. That's the average I got with my version, 4-piece and 2-piece Dominion. Then I tried 6-piece Nightmare, and this was the average that I was getting on that. So with Nightmare, your Doomsdays and stuff, they hit harder, yes, because you'll have the buff, but you don't have as many because you don't actually get into the low mana state. Or like every 2 to 3 rotations, you can get into the mana state. It's pretty weird to get into the low mana state, so you don't actually get the cooldowns. You always stay Magic Addiction. Yeah, that's what it's called. So Magic Addiction, you'll stay in that state for the most time. And Boundless MP, you'll barely ever get into that. But with my build, you actually go into Boundless MP pretty much every rotation. You'll be at full MP, and then you'll do a rotation, and that rotation will bring you down to the Boundless Mana. And by the time the Boundless Mana fills up, your cooldown should be back up, and then you'll be at the damage version again. So you'll get your skills doing most damage, and then you'll revert into the Mana stage. It'll make your skills cool down really fast, and then you go back into the full magic stage. So like you play back and forth dominoes all the time, going in and out of the MP phases, and that's why it's really good. And it's really bad to actually use stuff like Conviction and Judgment, as I will show you guys down here. So that's the reason why we use that set. We use 4-piece Nightmare, 2-piece Dominion to get into the low mana state, and then actually give us a lot faster cooldowns. And now moving on to some Conviction and Judgment testing. I tested this obviously with my set because I used that for all the testing. After I did this over here where the Nightmare was weaker, I just left it out of the equation, but I put it in there for you guys to see that I did actually test it out, and it is lower numbers. But yeah, using Conviction and Judgment, I use 4-piece Nightmare, 2-piece Dominion, and this is our DPS there. It's a little bit higher than the 6-piece Nightmare, but as you can see here, Conviction Judgment messes with the Boundless MP state, is why it results in lower overall DPS, as you'll only enter Boundless MP every 2 to 3 rotations due to the combat regen from Conviction Judgment. Because the Conviction Judgment does reduce your cooldowns and everything, but it also gives you massive MP recovery, so you won't actually get into the Boundless MP except for like 2 to 3 rotations when you've really got a lot of skills adding up really fast. So it's pretty hard to get into it, but whereas my build without Judgment and Conviction, you'll get into it pretty much every other rotation. And then I did some final testings on other engravings over Precise Dagger. So Adrenaline over here is one I tested. I really hoped Adrenaline would score higher, but the less crit actually hurts a lot, and it's quite hard to maintain Adrenaline. I wouldn't say it's hard. It is very tight though. Like sometimes you have to hold off on your Squall or your Shield, whatever you've got in that spot, and your Blaze for like 1 or 2 seconds just to make sure that you don't lose your buff if you do it too early and you don't have anything else up. And when you're in a raid situation, that is a lot to manage as well with everything happening. So, and the DPS overall was actually a little bit lower. I'm sure I only did 2 or 3 runs and I got that was the average over there. Sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower. It's more or less the same, but what's the point in doing that? As you can see, there is our test with Precise Dagger over there. That's my build. You see, it's not far off. It's like 100, less than 100k damage difference, but it's so much harder to maintain it. especially with the adrenaline stacks, and the crit as well is a lot lower, as you can see there. So it's a good option, but it's a lot more expensive as well. Precise Dagger is cheaper, is why I went with Precise Dagger originally. And then I actually found out after a lot of testing and gameplay that it's actually better anyway. So it's cheaper and it's better, but it's there. So if you wanted to see the numbers, they are there for you. And then we tried out Curse Doll. Curse Doll was considerably weaker than Precise Dagger. As you see there, 38 with only 66% crit rate. As you can see with our thing, we got 83% crit rate. This is after a couple of average runs. We did get more on some and a little bit less sometimes. That's about the average, 80+% crit rate. And also depends on what crits as well. So as you can see there, Curse Doll, I wouldn't really recommend it. And then Mass Increase is the funny one that I've been playing around with. As you can see, look at all these numbers here. So these three over here, this is all, I didn't change anything. I didn't change my rotation, nothing. I did the same thing every single time. As you can see, look at the massive difference. That's a 528k difference in DPS between these three runs. As you can see, the crit rate there varies as well. Obviously, that one over there has more crit, but lower DPS. And this one over here has higher DPS, lower crit. The reason being, depending on what crits, it's very unreliable. So if this crit's like, say now this one over here, 65% crit all my lower hitting skills, and over here, like my Doomsdays didn't crit or something. Or my Doomsdays did crit over here, but my Doomsdays didn't crit over here. That's why this one is higher, because obviously it scales a lot higher with the final strike crit damage. The crit damage scales very high, is why I believe Precise Dagger is such a good thing to run. As you can see, it's very consistent over there. Our crits are always consistent. And then over here at the bottom, I tested Mass Increase again, but I maxed out my crit in the test on Trixion, where you can actually put in your stats. I maxed out the crit to like 1850 to see what it could get to. And there was only 75% crit, but again, it was lower than this one of 64% crit. It just shows you guys that the difference on over there, the wrong skills were critting. Like Frost Call, Rhyme, Arrow, Blaze, and all that kind of stuff was critting. So they'll inflate your crit percentage, but decrease your overall DPS, as you're not critting the big skills that matter. And then I just wrote it up there for you guys. Not using Precise Dagger gives very mixed results, as the crit is the biggest factor in our DPS. Also, what skills crit is another huge factor. If we are critting other skills that are not our main 4 damage skills, then the numbers are very unreliable, as seen above over there. So stick with Precise Dagger, guys. I know it seems a little bit budget, but it scales very well, especially for this build. I can't really recommend it for any other build. I don't see the point in using it on Igniter. But yeah, on casting Reflux, Precise Dagger is very strong. So that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully this guide was helpful. If you guys have any questions, ask them down below in the comments. I will try and answer all of them that I can as well. Join the Discord as well. I'm always there. I helped someone out this morning. Shout out to him, one of my subscribers. I helped him out with some Sorc advice and stuff like that. So if you guys need any help, hop in the Discord, ask away. I'm always there, ready to help. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and a sub, as it helps me out, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the